Dean. Last week, Governor Walz released his state budget for the next 2 years. The $49 billion budget funds transportation, healthcare, K-12 education, and higher education. The budget only granted about a third of Minnesota State's overall request. Without the funding to meet the expected budget, the students will face significant tuition increases from the Board of Trustees this summer. In hearings this week, legislators raised serious concerns about what the governor's budget will mean for Minnesota's public colleges and universities.
Looking at these tuition increases and saying this is a ton of money, and trying to go back and explain to them that the university only deserves 3% increase over the budget when they've been asking for money over and over, and what they're seeing and what they're feeling is that the family portion is getting larger and larger, and the state is supporting our university systems, whether you're talking about the University of Minnesota or you're talking about our state system, less and less. And I see more and more dollars going to private institutions and less going to our state institutions.
During the hearing, legislators raised concerns about why the governor's budget funded the state grant program at the expense of keeping tuition low at the state's public colleges and universities.
When we are letting those dollars that would have supported our state institutions flow to private institutions, we are also, in fact, starving our public institutions.
The governor's budget fully funds the $150 million Higher Education Asset Preservation and Replacement Fund made by the Minnesota State colleges and universities across the state. The proposal will repair existing buildings by fixing leaky roofs and updating heating and cooling systems. The governor's budget looks to encourage more adults to complete their college degree by creating the Minnesota Reconnect program, which helps adults learners re-enroll and complete their college education. And finally, the budget will increase outreach on ways that prospective students can pay for school. With one of the lowest FAFSA completion rates in the country, this $750,000 will work to help more students and their families complete the FAFSA. Now I'm joined by LeadMN President Frankie Becerra. Mr. Becerra, how will tuition hikes impact students?
Thank you for having me on, Mike. Well, an 8% increase in tuition will make it even more difficult for community college students such as myself to work towards a better future through higher education. Simply, combined with the high cost of textbooks plus the cost of living, an 8% increase could mean the difference between education and putting food on the tables for some. For others, this could mean that they might not be able to continue their education at all.
Mr. Becerra, what can students do to have their voices heard on this budget?
I think that this is something that we've strived very hard to work on at LeadMN with civic engagement overall. Students can have their voices be heard with writing letters to their legislators asking them to support the Promise Bill, creating a debt-free college for all families making under $125,000 a year. They can also join their student senate and get involved with LeadMN to really work on removing those barriers to higher education.
Thank you, Mr. Becerra, for coming in today. That's all the news from LeadMN. We're college students connecting for change.